Hi everyone, welcome to our class number 6 in the transition course from B1 into B2. Today we want to go back and review two concepts that we already learned, but we're going to take kind of a new perspective comparing them. So it's going to be participle and gerund, similar yet different. So let's review them once again and see what's the difference and what you should be mindful about. So let's jump into the presentation. So first and foremost, let's just review them real quick. So what is participle basically? So if we look at the sentence, developing your emotional intelligence, you can become a good leader. So developing your emotional intelligence, that's what we call the participle, or basically an extra verb, an extra activity when one subject does two things at the same time. So what does it mean? It means that we have extra verb, then usually we have comma, then we have subject, we have it here, it's you, the doer, then verb can become, and then a good leader. So developing your emotional intelligence, extra verb, you subject, can become verb, a good leader, object. And since we have a comma here, we have a little bit of a break, of a pause when native speakers speak. So they would say, developing your emotional intelligence, you can become a good leader. Right? This little break. Yeah, so we want to make it two, because in this way we show that it's an extra verb, an extra activity. So, so if we take the same sentence, but we use gerund, we can get rid of the subject that we had, you, and we can replace it with gerund. So let me show you. So developing your emotional intelligence can make you a good leader. Quite a similar idea, right? But structurally it's different. Let's see. So what we used to have? We used to have an extra verb, developing your emotional intelligence, then subject you, then verb, then object. Now, extra verb became a subject itself. So it's a subject. Subject you became an object because now developing your emotional intelligence, it affects, right, you. So you is now not the doer, but the receiver of the action. So that's why it's now an object, sorry guys. So this subject now is an object. And as we know, object cannot go before the verb. So it goes after the verb. So we have subject, developing your emotional intelligence, verb, can make, then you is the first object, and here we have the second object, a good leader, which we kept from our previous sentence. So it's going to be object number 2. Yeah, in the sentence you can have 2 objects. So basically developing your emotional intelligence. Subject now can make, verb, you object, a good leader. Why is it important? Because here you wouldn't make any break, because we don't make a pause, a break between the subject and the verb. So you wouldn't say, it's not correct, okay, to say like that. Developing your emotional intelligence can make you a good leader. We wouldn't make this pause. Developing your emotional intelligence can make you a good leader. So this pause here basically shows us that it's a participle, and if we don't have this pause, it's already gerund. So, and even though, as I told you, they look similar, but they fulfill different functions. So participle is a verb, gerund is a subject, so they have different function in the sentence, and because of that, we pronounce them in different ways. So, one more important thing not to forget as it comes to gerund is that since gerund is a subject, it should have be in certain cases. So for example, we'd say my job, subject, right, is important, object, right? So we call it a copula, or like this be connector between the subject and the object when we don't have any activity. So if we have a gerund and we don't have any activity, just like my job, or Artyom, or doctor, or I, gerund should be accompanied with this little b. So for example, listening to other people carefully, right? So that's my subject here, is important. And it's extremely important not to skip this is. So make sure that you don't, right? So in the same way, when you have participle, like he listened to her, we, like, for example, we'll say one sentence, he listened to her, sentence one, then we stop, we give it a pause, he learned a lot, sentence two. So in the same way, if we have a participle, you would have to make a certain pause. We don't have a period, right dot, we would have comma. But anyway, listening to her, comma, and pause, he learned a lot. Listening to her, he learned a lot. So in the case of gerund, we're careful with is when we don't have activity, of course. If we have activity like go or make, then we don't need is, even if it's gerund. But anyways, when we don't have activity, we're careful with is. When it's the participle, we're careful with this comma and a stop, right, when we speak. So those two things are quite different in many ways because of that. So now, let's practice a little bit. What do you need to do? You'll have a little bit of a text. And in this text, B's, like is or was, are missed. And commas are missed too. But anyway, you need to read it, you need to notice it, you need to recognize if it's a gerund or a participle, and read it correctly. So make sure you don't rush, and make sure then to follow me and listen carefully to my way of doing it. So remember, gerund, we don't skip be, we have be. Participle, we don't skip a pause. Okay? So let's give it a look. So slowly, understanding emotions, gerund, is important for building strong relationships. Being aware of your own emotions, pause, you can respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively. So yes, recognizing feelings is, gerund, a great skill that helps create trust. At the same time, being aware of your emotions, comma, participle, you can respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively. So you would really want to practice that. Again, so here you can see the right way of writing it with all the commas and e's. So as a part of little practice, on the platform below this video, you would find another short text to practice with, reading it like that. So make sure after you're done watching this video, you practice it on your own, okay? So then, as you come to my class, if you practice in groups, synchronously, we will review this text together, we'll practice together, and we'll have more stuff to practice. We will analyze the video, and we'll listen to this kind of a gerund, and is, and pauses. So I'll be happy to see you. And don't forget, right? So first you have a little review. And since it's review, you don't have a lot of homework this week. You don't do forum posts this week. You don't do like fulsome kind of full-length homework. You just do little homework, like just reading text, just 2 minutes of your time. Then you do a little bit of review practice coming to my class. Then you come to my speaking class as the second class. We're going to discuss emotional intelligence, which is the topic of this week. So again, you'll have a chance to practice. So, hopefully you don't have any questions. If you do, please make sure to get in touch with me, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one.